Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be looking at beadlocks. That's right, beadlocks. Ugh. The reason I say ugh is because a lot of us hate doing beadlocks, and for good reason. Some of them can be a right pain in the rectum. We're going to start today with some Cross RC PG4 beadlocks. Okay, stamped steel beadlocks. Nice looking wheels, very scale. Fantastic, but they also can be a right pain. So we're going to put some of these together today to show you guys a few little tips and tricks on how to put this style wheel together, because there is a lot of wheels out there that run a similar sort of put togetherisms as this one does. Trust me, it's a word. Anyway, I'm going to change to the old close-up cam, and then we're going to go through what we've got here and the little tips and tricks I use to make this job a little bit less stressful. Okay, so we have our 1.9 tyre, which is a Cross RC Blackrock. That's a brand new tyre, brand new foam. Okay, there is a little tip you can do to make this easier. Take your foam, sit it underneath your leg whilst you get everything else prepared. What's this going to do? It's going to squish it down. That will make your life a little bit easier. Okay, you can do this for 10 minutes before you start putting things together. That will make your life easier. The way I do this, you don't have to do what I'm doing right now, but it can help in some cases. So just a little top tip, yoink, for free. So we have our beadlock ring, we have the wheel back, the wheel face, the hub hex, okay, and the front scale hub. And now, of course, not all wheels come with these. All right, a lot of Cross RC ones do because they like to go the extra mile with scale, but not a lot of wheels come with these. A lot of them, you bolt through the front into this, or a bolt goes through to a tiny little nut, very tiny, a tiny little nut that sits on the front of the wheel. Okay, so let us begin, shall we? First things first, we've all done this. Beadlock ring in tyre. Okay, once that's in, we have a bit of a look-see. We want to make sure that this all sits nicely with our bead. Okay, everything's going to sit all nice and pretty. Once it's squeezed down in a bit, that's a start. You can go around and pinch the foam all the way around. That's also going to help make everything squeeze together nicer once you start to pinch the wheel together. Quick squeeze. Right, so there's our tyre. I'm going to take the front wheel face. You will notice I have a mark on here. These cross wheels only line up one way. So, for example, if I hold these wheels like yay, line up the bolt holes, the actual wheel holes don't line up. Rotate that around to the next spot, they do line up. So, I'm going to put the front of my wheel in. Now, just before I do, you will notice there is one little edge just here and one little edge just here. I want to sit my wheel just on the second edge. Just like so. Because that second edge is designed to sit against the wheel. Okay? Very important. Do that. Now, I've got 2 long bolts here, and I've got 6 regular length bolts. These are the ones that actually hold the wheel together. These are the cheat bolts. Okay? We're going to use these to make this easier. So, I'll take my 2 longer cheaty bolts, pop those through, one either side of my hex hub. Okay? So there's one here, and there's one here. Brilliant. Illustrated here. We're going to poke that through the back of our wheel, like yay. Okay, then we're going to poke this from the back side. Once we line up our holes, where's my texture mark? There it is. Once we line up our holes, we're going to poke those bolts all the way through to the front part of the rim. Sometimes this will take a bit of a wiggle and a play, etc. and so on, but there we have it. So now you can see the 2 bolts are poking through. I'd still have to move this around a bit, but we can do that once I've got my little scale hub on and a couple of these nuts started. You'll notice, if I hold this in the right light, just there-ish, these scale hubs actually have little cutouts so that you can hold the nut with this. Very handy. Good idea, though. So, that slides on like yay. Then, I'll take one of these little nuts here. These tiny little failures right here. I'm going to hold it up against the bolt and get that started. I'm going to wind it backwards just a few times, then go forwards. That way, I've got a better chance of the thread resetting itself. And when I go forwards, it'll actually grab the nut as opposed to cross thread itself. So now, there's a nut started there. I'll start one on the other side now. They're both started. Lovely. That's delightful. Now what we need to do to try and ensure, this is not a guarantee, but to try to ensure that the bead doesn't pop out, we need to try and center everything as best we can before we start cranking down on it. So you can see here, this is not centered. This lip still needs to poke out just a touch. We can make adjustments to this as we wind down on the bolts. I'm going to ever so slightly, now that's sitting just where it needs, the rear one is off. You can see that. Give that a little scooch with my thumb. Now, I'm going to leave the rear one sitting just in a bit because I know what these rims are like. They're a bit... So, once we start cranking down the bolts, that's when we'll adjust our rear. Give it a little squeeze. Try and get as much of the beading in under the rim as we can. Just trying to center everything as much as I can. Now we're going to start to crank on these bolts. There is every chance this might pop out here or there, or you'll flip it over and it's popping out somewhere in the front. It's just the nature of what we're doing. What you can do, and the reason I have shock oil here is, if I grab another one of these tires, you take a little bit of oil, just a smidge. Truth be told, I should have done it on this one, but I forgot. You run this oil around the inside of this bead. Just a quick little hit all the way around. And you want to do both sides, okay? Now, what you don't want to do is, you do not want to get the oil on the outside of the bead here. That will make this pop out straight away. You just want a little bit on that inside lip. Okay? So now, fingers crossed, as I start to tighten down on these bolts, it'll actually pull the wheel together and not pull everything out of place. Now I'm going to have a look at the bolts on the other side. They look like they're poking out reasonably even. This one here is actually poking out a touch more. So I'll do this side next and try and even it up. That way, I know that I'm squeezing the rim together evenly each side. That gives me the best chance possible of not screwing this up and having a bead go yoink. So we're starting to get a good pinch on the rim. I'm going to tighten it down a bit more. Then I'm going to come around here and adjust just here where the bead is. I want to pull that out just a smidge. I won't do it yet. If I do it too soon, the whole bead will pop. And we don't want that now, do we? So, back to this. Okay. How close are we? Reasonably close now. So, what I'm going to do, where that extra little square bead is just here, I need to pull out ever so slightly on the tire, just around this part, until that little square bead pops just on the outside of our rim there. Very gently. Perfect. So you can see I didn't have to really crank on that. I just give it a slight little pull to the side, just enough so that that bead sits against the rim. As for the back, there's one little spot just there. Other than that, we're looking pretty good, I think. I think. Thank God. Hopefully, this wheel goes together nicely. That's good. I say that, I'll probably just jinx myself. Now I'm going to do this up a bit more. It'll probably pop a bead just to frustrate me. We're pretty close now to the point. Oh, look at here. It's very close. That's nearly popping the bead, which is what's known in the business as very frustrating. So we have to back it off. It's unfortunate, but it has to be done. Okay. I'm going to push that in a little bit extra this side. So now the extra square lip is sitting in underneath the part of the rim here on purpose. We're going to start cranking back down on it. So don't think as soon as you see the rim pop a little bit that you have to take the whole thing apart, because a lot of the time you can do what I'm doing now and fix it. Okay, so it didn't pop. We still have a little bit of tie sitting just under there. That's fine. We can sort that. The front still looks good. We are, I think, at the point now where I can start to take my regular size bolts, pop those through, hold my driver on the back. I can. So now, I know you guys can't really see this, but I'll try and demonstrate the next one with my wrong hand. So I get that bolt started. Only do it up enough that I feel it's tight. Not tight, it's taut, rather. So I'll pop this bolt in the back of the wheel, straight in there, hold my driver on it. Now this is going to be the fun part because this is wrong-handed for me. I'm going to take the little nut, hold it in there against the bolt with my fingernail. Very hard to try and show this. That start, lovely. So now we're at the point where we can start to pinch this wheel together, not only from these 2 points, but from multiple points all the way around, and pull the whole thing down evenly. Back looks good. It's actually starting to pop out here by itself to the point where we want it to pop out. It's not the beads popping in. The whole thing's ruined. So we'll continue with these. Now, so you can see we've got a bolt in every hole, a nut for every bolt. We still do have our 2 long ones in, so this is the time to get rid of those. Now, we have all the bolts in here that we're going to use to keep this wheel together. Our bead is sitting nicely around the outside. Bead is sitting nicely around the backside too. Fantastic. So all I have to do now is work my way in a star pattern around these bolts so that I can pull the whole rim down evenly until it's pinched together. Lovely. One beadlock wheel constructed. Now, these are a pretty horrible type of wheel to put together compared to, if I've got any handy, compared to something like these. These are one of the latest cross beadlocks. These things are dead simple. I mean, crazy simple. You literally, I can show you how, real quick, like how easy these are. So, that's very tight. Undo that bolt. So we'll undo the 5 bolts that hold them. These type of wheels, like I say, generally are bloody simple, and mostly because of how the beadlock ring is designed. There is a massive amount of space in here for the actual bead of the tyre. These old school rims don't have that benefit. It's just a ring. So ones like this, really simple. Ring inside, front on. Again, make sure that little bead, you can see it there, is sitting just against the top of the rim. The back goes in, and it's literally as simple as finger either side, push down a little bit, then get that one started. Get that one started. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than this. Get that one started. That one started. Okay. That one started. So, they're all started. Same process. We're going to wind this down a bit. Then we're going to jump over here. Wind that down a bit. Jump over here. Wind that down a bit. Jump over here. Beautiful. That simple. And it's a perfect fit. So, these wheels are bloody simple, which is fantastic. A lot of manufacturers now are leaning more towards this style of wheel. There is stamped wheels. I know this particular truck comes with a stamped wheel, very similar to this. So you use this process to put them together, make your life a lot easier. I hope it's been helpful. If you do have any other questions, let me know. If there's a particular type of wheel that you're having trouble with, let me know and I'll try and help. Also, drop in the comments suggestions for more handy tips and tutorial videos. Do keep your eye out too for the shock video. I've done that one too. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. Do take care everyone. Stay safe. Smash like, smash sub, comment, do all that YouTube-y stuff. And we'll see you in the next YouTube video.